My update today for the human rights agencies that I've been trying to contact since these offences that I'm experiencing occurred, um, basically is handling the matters that are ongoing for me. As I've mentioned, I've experienced horrendous ordeals over 15 years ago that I recovered from, and to the present date, I'm still experiencing victimisation and violations in a community that have collectively orchestrated very serious violations of my constitutional and human rights. So basically today in this upload, for the interest of the United Nations and their agencies, I want to discuss a few topics that have been affected as a consequence of the vendetta that I'm experiencing. So I've mentioned in the previous uploads that there's been issues of defamation of my character, reputation, good name, and disinformation with regards to information that all citizens would be entitled to be informed of, and that has been withheld intentionally from me. This is just another tactic and aspect of this vendetta that has involved the damage done to my hierarchy of needs intentionally by individuals that are trying to suppress and undermine my good work, my credentials, my expertise, my skills, my talents, and my abundance and my fortunes. So this vendetta has been ongoing since I gave birth and got married. As I've mentioned, I recovered from sexual assaults and revenge porn successfully, and worked in the community voluntarily, worked abroad voluntarily, and worked as a paid educator, teacher, graduate of cultural studies at the University of Limerick in Hibernia. So my credentials with regards to my education are all pretty good, pretty straightforward situation with regards to my educational criteria. There have, as I've mentioned, been individuals that have tried to affect my credentials. There have been individuals that have also been responsible for creative property theft and intellectual property theft. So that's just one aspect of this vendetta of undermining and suppressing my work as a graduate of culture and as an educator and as a humanitarian. So that's with regards to education, and we all educate ourselves for our career, our profession and our purpose. Due to the defamation that I've been mentioning in these ongoing uploads, the defamation of my character and reputation has been quite horrendous, very dangerous, and as a consequence I've been experiencing very serious injustice, simply due to the dangerous comments, claims, accusations and falsehoods that have been said against me. The damage done to my reputation and good name have not been rectified, and the defamation continues with nonsense and unsubstantiated falsehoods. So anyone in my position would be justifiably quite irate, irritated, annoyed to have worked so hard and to have been suppressed by individuals perpetrating hate crime and inciting hatred. So as a humanitarian, and as these are for the interests of the United Nations, I am very concerned that I still have not heard from the UN or the politicians and authorities that I have been contacting with regards to the incitement of hate speech, the perpetrating of hate crime, and the human rights violations that are ongoing. So my credentials, as I've mentioned, are from the University of Limerick. As an educator, I should be teaching, but when people start defaming a teacher's character and reputation, it becomes quite difficult. And as a consequence, the hierarchy of needs that I've mentioned have, been damaged also. This has involved health, housing, etc., etc., etc. So with regards to the role of authorities and the role of law enforcement agencies and the role of those that are supposed to uphold the law, I find it very disturbing that there's such a dangerous situation being facilitated. Every citizen, law-abiding, is entitled to full social protection. Um, Law-abiding citizen Emer Griffin McElligott, that has been so dangerously defamed, that has been dangerously wronged and disinformed, and has been withheld from having access to family, property, employment, wealth, medical care, etc., that the United Nations have been fully informed of, and that the authorities and politicians are also aware of. So I'm very concerned about the obstruction of justice. I'm very concerned about how the script is being rewritten and how the plot is being reorganised for people's preference about how they would prefer things to be rather than how things are and how things were meant to be. So this idea of societal reorienteering, as I consider it, is very dangerous when it also involves very serious spiritual assaults and spiritual violations and very dangerous bodily integrity violations that are being conducted and perpetrated without any consent, that are causing very serious bodily harm, that have not been informed of to their target that they are perpetrating these bodily integrity violations on, and that are not being treated medically. So when a person's bodily integrity has been so dangerously violated, there's not only the medical treatment consequences, um, the dangerous effects that this vendetta has had not only on my career and reputation and good name, my professional losses and my economic losses, my professional opportunities that have also been pillaged, but also the tormentation, basically, that a victim of hate crime experiences without support advocacy, and basically the belligerence and misconduct, the unprofessional conduct and unethical conduct of those bulldozing into a person's private life and causing so much horrendous damage. So, as regards bodily integrity violations, that's that matter. I think it's very dangerous for any individuals to be conducting any assault on a person's body with or without consent. Those people sending out false messages in the media and affecting culture negatively, I take great offence to. Identity theft, imposter syndrome from a psychological and mental health perspective are also issues that I have to contend with. So as a professional, as an educator, and as a person that has worked with others in recovery, this entire situation is of insanity. And I am absolutely appalled that authorities and politicians have been obstructed from providing me with the assistance that is required for me to have my constitutional and human rights respected with dignity, integrity, and consideration. So this is ongoing, and I'm very offended. I'm very insulted. I've been working very hard for over 20 years since I was only young, and I am a qualified, educated professional that has been displaced, denigrated, disinformed, and defamed by individuals that are trying to suppress a woman, an adult female qualified professional, um, by the worst means imaginable, and quite embarrassing means also. And it's just a very sad sign of the times that there are other adult females that cannot or are not capable or respectful or courteous enough to be dignified and dignify another woman's qualification and stance and role and position as a mother, as a wife, and as a teacher in society. So this is what hate crime is. This is what this vendetta of violations and victimizations is. And to be quite honest, it's a very, very, very sad sign of the times. So I've mentioned social protection and how all adult law-abiding citizens are fully entitled to have their safety and protection within society safeguarded from those disrupting the peace, from those disrespecting the Constitution, from disrespecting Human Rights Declaration, and from disrespecting civil liberties. So I'm just wondering why my position, role and qualifications haven't been respected? Is it more than hate crime? And who and how, who basically um, is basically facilitating and condoning these problems that are being caused. So the how of it is that it's how is it excusable? How is it tolerable? How is it justifiable? People thinking they're taking the law into their own hands and disrespecting the actual law that is there, and those that are thinking they are representing the law while perpetrating injustice is a very serious issue of contradictions and hypocrisy. So, from a cultural perspective, from all these factors, this situation that I'm enduring on €200 a week in HAPS accommodation, while my marital farm holdings, my family, my career, my profession as an educator, all are being withheld from me intentionally as a means of denigration and as a means of just deplorable disrespect in an age of 2020 when people speaking of progress and evolution haven't actually been signifying or displaying behaviours of progress at all. So, as regards health, I've mentioned about the bodily integrity violations. Those conducting any work on any body, be it a person or a physical form, that is not condoned, that is not with consent, and that has not been explained, and that has affected the physical well-being, the emotional well-being, the private well-being of a person is inexcusable. So the other aspect that I've mentioned is the aspect of justice, the injustice that has been perpetrated against a rape victim as a victim of defamation. Injustice is quite frightening. And today, in 2020, after 3 years of trying to reach out to the United Nations while experiencing obstructions and obstacles by those playing foul and by those playing games, mind games, and by those falsifying the facts and trying to reorganise the stage and the scene and the plot to their own liking, it's quite a dangerous situation. So this brings into question the role of justice and the role of the truth and the honesty of a situation, and how people want to exacerbate a very serious transgression against an innocent mother, Emer Griffin McElligott, and that are responsible for financial abuse, financial theft, and financial exploitation also. So there have been professionals, as I've mentioned, in these uploads that have not been professional. They have had no consent to intrude upon me. They have had no consent to perpetrate any bodily integrity violations, and they have perpetrated injustice. And they have accessed personal information and attained personal information that they had no consent from me as a law-abiding adult citizen to ever access. So this upload is just an update, and these are my concerns with a vision for Ireland, a new vision for Ireland in 2020, based on foundations that have been quite negative, based on advancements that have originated from my work and basically have been disrespected, disregarded, and been absolutely insulting to tolerate. So the politicians of Dáil Éireann and the United Nations agencies, and in particular the authorities, I hope ye are considerate of the fact of the serious matters that are being caused for me as a victim of people inciting hatred, disinforming people, and culturally formulating a scene, a problem that isn't of actual facts and not of actual honesty at all. So that's my upload for today. The United Nations have gotten my submission forms. The politicians and such have all, and the authorities have all received a victim impact statement from me. I'm still waiting for a proper acknowledgement with regards to the damages done to my livelihood, my privacy, my reputation, my good name, my role as a mother, etc., etc. I'm also waiting for compensation for those that have damaged my health, that have damaged my body, that have damaged my reputation and my professional earnings, and that have damaged my opportunities also. I'm also waiting for justice to be acknowledged as an important factor in the role of victims' lives that are experiencing these kind of vendettas, those perpetrating favours to get their way, and that are swaying the scales of justice in their favour to perpetrate injustice, is absolutely an abhorrence in 2020. So I've witnessed and experienced plenty since all of these offences occurred, and it's quite a morose situation. And from a spiritual perspective, as a light worker, as you know, as a person that has helped people along the way, I find this quite disturbing to be occurring in society. So those that are trying to rewrite the script and reorganise the plot and the scene, I hope those with better judgment understand how dangerous a circumstance has been caused for an innocent mother and wife that has experienced desertion and other serious offences. So the politicians and the UN, would ye mind acknowledging the circumstances that have been occurring? The damage to health is very, very serious. The damage to wealth is very serious. And the mental health of individuals that think this is in any way tolerable in 2020, I am concerned about their mentality. So it's a sad sign of the times, as I keep reiterating. I might seem like I have too much time on my hands with these uploads, but with the health and well-being being a priority, and health negligences having been perpetrated, time has been well spent. So the politicians thinking of a reform and a new Ireland, I'd seriously hope that you'd consider, from a cultural perspective and from a moral perspective and a legal perspective, the dangerous assaults being perpetrated not only against this victim but also against the constitution of this country. So that's all I'll say for this upload. There has been dangerous defamation perpetrated. There have been dangerous falsehoods perpetrated by very guilty culprits, and those being misinformed and that have not consulted with me about the truth of this matter, and that have facilitated the denigration of my hierarchy of needs, and that have been privy to the fact that there is falsification of facts being perpetrated while the complaints procedures that I've submitted since 2017 have been ignored, is further offence to the already worsening vendetta that I'm experiencing. So that's my upload for today, the 19th of the 5th. I've been trying to contact the relevant agencies with regards to the offences as a victim of sexual assault, revenge porn, and hate crime now more recently, and human rights violations that have been perpetrated in this community collectively since 2005. So this is Emer McCalligan. I'm in Tralee, County Kerry, Ireland, and I'm still waiting for the United Nations.